Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Heyru Dre, aka Dre, aka Handsome Heyru. Welcome to another episode of Miracle Mindset for Men, episode 13. I'm your host. I'm waiting for Q to join me soon. Just running a little bit behind, but I just want to go ahead and get the live started. So as soon as he joins me, we will get started. But Um, yeah, so tonight's episode is titled Healing Your Inner Child. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the inner child and how we can heal it. Like what is the trauma, where does the aggression comes from, all the stuff you've been through as a young adult and stuff like that. Peace to Junkyard Jet Out. What up, Doe? So I'm just waiting on Q Reeves to join me. Just running a little bit behind, but like I said, just wanted to get started. Um, Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about the inner child and how to heal it, because a lot of us are walking trauma. A lot of us are walking um, destruction pieces, if you will, right? And a lot of things has happened to us in our childhood that we don't talk about, and we kind of leave that stuff dormant, and then it affects us as we get older. So I just think that it's important that we address the issues and we try to, find solutions for them. So this is what I'm here for, to help yourselves with the solutions. I can't give y'all solutions. It's one thing that I learned about psychiatrists and psychologists is that anytime you go see a therapist, a lot of times they just ask you questions and you're basically answering your own questions. You're basically giving yourself the answers to your problems. Like the more you talk, the more you speak on the situation, the more you like, oh, so this is what's going on. Oh, this is the problem. That's the problem. And then you'll start to understand who you are and where is all of this fear-based and trauma-based stuff coming from. You know, and there's a lot of great psychologists out there or therapists. I don't even like to say therapists, but because if you if you separate the two words and say the rapist, but anyway, yeah. So I think it's important to face the demons and overcome your demons, right? I learned something watching Doctor Strange. That's a very metaphysical movie, and the ancient one said that she told Doctor Strange. She said that no, not Doctor Strange. What was the black guy name? I forgot his name, but he told her, he was like, "Thank you for helping me uh, destroy my demons." And she said that no one ever destroys their demons. We just learn to simply live above them. And that was so profound because, as much as we can be healed or we're going through a healing stages, we still have that opposition that is still connected to us. And with that, it's you got to understand to, be better than your opposition. You got to live above that opposition. It's like you somebody make you mad. Can you control your anger? Somebody may piss you off. Can you control your reactions to somebody pissing you off? So it's a lot of different things to you know to do. So yeah, he'll be joining in a couple of minutes. He just hit me up. So but I'm gonna talk to y'all for a minute. Yeah, so we never get rid of our demons. We just we just learn to simply live above them. And no matter how good of a person you can be or want to be or desire to be, you're still gonna have that opposition, right? That's the one of the seven universal laws. You got the law of as above, so below. Got polarity, right? Everything has opposite. I mean to say as above, so below, but that would still be the same. But polarity, everything has its opposite, right? So you got people out there who are doing good. You got people out there who are not doing so well. But the key is, how do you handle yourself? How do you control yourself and your emotions? And when you able to be in a position, in a mind frame, you can control yourself and control what you do, and then you are controlling everything around you. And I think people try to control everything around them first before they try to control themselves. And that's where, shit happens and shit go left. But as far as healing the inner child, I think you gotta like really sit back and analyze what happened in your childhood to make you the person that you are. Because we all have experiences, right? Everybody has some type of experience as a child. I'm not gonna say good or bad, but you had an experience, and that experience shaped and molded you to the person that you are today, whether you know it or not. So if somebody, like, you could be triggered by something, if somebody say a word that you didn't like because you got teased. If I say I'll give you a prime example. If I tell a girl, you're cute to be dark, right? Oh, I got Q Reaves. All right, let me go ahead and add them on here.
Yeah.
Yo,
What up?
Q.
What up? What up?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
How we living, bro?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure everything is good. This is actually the first time that I'm doing StreamYard on my laptop.
Oh, lit.
Yeah,
StreamYard is cool. It's a good look.
yeah. So I was just talking to the people. I was just letting them know what the topic was going to be about.
All
Um,
right.
but before we get started, I want to introduce everybody to Q Reeves. Y'all know who he is. He is what I consider to be one of the best. Would you do the pass aggressive?
Yeah. Past
Aggressive?
life regression work. So
Yeah,
regression therapy.
yeah, regression therapy. So I seen him on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all seen him on Rich Channel a few times. I actually met him at the Gathering of the Masters last year, and it's a funny story about that. I met him at the hotel. He was leaving out the hotel.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was like, Q. He was like, yeah. I was like, you gonna be at the Gathering? I'm like, yeah. So yeah, it was like one of those things. But so I want to take this time to say thank you for joining me.
Oh yeah,
I
my pleasure.
appreciate it. It's this month is Men's Mental Awareness Month, and I'm trying to get who I consider to be prolific Black men on the podcast
Mm,
and give point of views about what's going on in America with the mental health and stuff like that. And I had Rich on here a couple of days ago. I had
right.
King Simon on here yesterday.
Okay.
So they was giving their point of views. And so I said, let me reach out to Q because I like the things that he talk about. He's like, he a really solid dude, right? So tonight's episode is called Healing Your Inner Child. We grow up with trauma in our life. We got good trauma, we got bad trauma. And a lot of things that's going on in our childhood shapes us into our adulthood.
Mm,
And a lot of things we don't like know that's affecting us that will trigger us as we're older that came from something when we were younger, right? So I think a lot of people are not addressing that situation and they're just out here doing whatever without any type of consequence of themselves or what they're doing. So what are your thoughts about healing the inner child? Can a person heal their inner child?
well, that's a great topic. Especially based on what I I do with regression work. The word regression means to go back into. So we often go back into a person's mental state or mind. And when you go, you hear the song "Get Out of Your Mind." What happens when you get in your mind? Well,
Mhm.
it's a labyrinth. It's a treasure trove of information, of memories, of experiences, and within this area of ourselves we refer to as our mind, your subconscious stores so much. So your mind's kind of broken up into parts: consciousness, subconscious, and unconscious. So The subconscious stores a lot of the traumatic experiences that you've experienced,
Mm-hmm.
and in that, it kind of plays in the background. That's like a sub, like it's like a subsystem is beneath New York, but yet it's the foundation almost. Like it's what's holding up all of New York, but no one sits and thinks about that. So think about how important the subway is. Well, that's the same as your subconscious. It's a subsystem. It's the underworld. It's holding tons of information there, including your inner child or your childlike self. And when you don't protect or nourish that child or that part of your mind, which is really imagination.
Mm-hmm.
But the imagination can create things. And what it tends to create is a monster. And that imagination often leads to people becoming literal monsters and giving birth to monsters in a continuous cycle of monstrous behavior.
Oh wow. Ooh, okay. Man. You came out the gate with that one. All right. So you say that will create monsters like so do you think that when adults have kids and they don't have healed inner child issues, do you think that that gets passed on to the kids and they're created through them?
Yes, yes. So information is traveled from system to system via liquid.
Okay.
Water holds information. So, and liquid kind of gets into a molecular molecules, but let's just stick with water. Water holds information, and you leave your father via water. Now, this is a spermicide, but it is, a fluid, a fluidity. You leave your father through a fluid, and that fluid holds on to information that he is aware of and information he isn't aware of. And
Hmm.
then that information hits an egg, and kind of think of that as like, all right, so think of it as you have a consciousness, but your consciousness needs a physical vessel to animate itself or to express itself. Without a physical vessel, you may never be heard. You may never be seen. You may never be acknowledged. So the
Hmm.
vessel is important to influence physicality. So that's what the egg represents. It's kind of like a physical shell for this consciousness to reanimate itself, to re-experience itself, to revive itself. And hopefully through us, the children, we can fix cycles. We can go left when everyone in our ancestry went right. Like we can shift not only our moment and our experiences, but the experiences of that which came before us. I feel like that's how important we are. So, yes, that's the purpose of a child. A child is supposed to continue on what the parent or what the previous generation ceased to acknowledge or ceased to deal with.
Okay. So speaking of that, when you say go left, they go left, we go right, it made me think about Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Yourself, and he talked
Mm,
about epigenetics.
hmm
He said that you could change your genes to what you desire them to be or what you want would like them to be. And I think a lot of people are unaware that they can really change their habits. They don't have to have their parents' habits. And I was thinking about that too. I'm like, wow, if we all knew that we could change and become generational cures and not continue a generational curse, a lot of things would change. But I do believe that the environment that that child is in can play a major part
mm,
as well. Like if like say you grow up in like the projects, right? And you grow up in a single parent household and all you see is violence and all your friends are single parent household too, and then you don't have like a father structure or male structure to guide you and say, hey, don't do that, stay in school, get in sports and stuff like that. So now they already have the transferred trauma,
mm.
and now they're even creating more because of their environment. So how can a child, or actually not even a child, how can a person, more so a man, create his own solutions to his inner child problems?
All right. So first, a man or a person needs to first acknowledge how their inner child likes to express itself. So our inner child is coming out often, more often than we are aware of. Um, there is even a secret. There is a secret organization that is responsible for suppressing the melanated woman, and there's a secret organization that's responsible for keeping men in what we would call baby boy syndrome. And
Mm-hmm.
these are like cabals. I'll say that these are like organized um, uh, Kakaku beings that
Okay.
come together and figure out how to strategically oppress the melanated species. And one direction is, how do we affect the divine feminine, which is God, or God body, really? It's really God body. Just like man is God mind. And through God body and God mind, you get the union of you and me. And one needs each other. But a goddess or a goddess produces the body, the God body, while a man produces the God mind. So anyway, how do you attack the God body? Well, the God body is so strong that you damn near can attack it. So in order to get to her, you have to affect her child. Her child is us. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you get to affect her? By keeping us in an immature state where she constantly feel like she gotta protect us or worry about us or fend for us or sacrifice herself for us. The list goes on. But anyway, it's important to realize that your childhood self expresses itself way more than you may be aware of, and to slow down and start to acknowledge what those may be. Um, for example, I like to do Legos. I like building. I like completing the Legos because it's a good feeling of accomplishment knowing that you took something from nothing and made it into something. Plus, it's a good training
Mm-hmm.
mentality. So I know that's my inner child. But I also know growing up, I can never afford no Legos. Fuck no. I ain't, it ain't coming. Like, what? What do you mean buy some? Like, what? You better stop. You better put some paper clips together. It was on some shit like that. So
Yeah.
I know that I'm helping my inner child by still experiencing the things that I wanted to do as a child. So if I was to tell any person right now, the easiest or quickest way to address or heal your inner child is to do things that you used to do as a child, but figure out how to make it a little more um attentive. Because right now, I mean, I won't even use the word attentive, make it a little more mature. I'll use the word mature.
Right.
Like for example, they have the Switch where you can play the classic Super Mario games and all that other stuff. So there's just different ways of expressing your inner child, but acknowledging that there's parts of you that likes to not have all the pressure of the world on you. So if you're the type of person that's always acting like that, always thinking like that, like never giving your mind a break, or giving your body a break, you're abusing your inner child. You're hurting your inner child because your inner child was never meant to really worry about those things. So
Yeah, that's a good point. They have like adult playgrounds, like Dave and Buster's.
yeah,
Like play the arcade games,
yeah,
Galaga and stuff like that.
yeah.
And I think that if you do something that's active, you did something as an adult that you did back as a child that keeps you active physically, it'll put you back in that mindset of a child mentally,
It
right?
does. It actually reprograms the body. So the body cannot decipher the difference between a dream and reality. That's why when a person's sleeping and they dream of going to the bathroom, they may wake up and they don't went to the bathroom on themselves. Dreams of a sex scene, you may wake up, dreams of there's even the saying, if you die in a dream, you die in real life. So it's because your body may not understand your heart is just dropping because it's a dream. No, you're or stopping because it's a dream. No, your body is thinking, "Oh my God, we just died," and your heart will stop. Like it's like a placebo. You can use your brain to tell your heart, "Yeah, this is out. We're done. This is done for." 86th. So because you can do that in a disastrous way, you could also do it in healing ways. That's always how the yin and the yang works. It's always how the up and the down, the in and the out, a binary system. If there's an in, there's an out. So if there's a negative, there's a positive. So what are some ways that you can positively use this mind hack, this biohacking? Well, if you start to teach yourself to tap into that adolescent aspect of yourself by using your environment, climb what's it,
The
little
jungle, the
climbing
jungle
wall.
gyms,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah,
jungle
jungle
gyms. Yeah,
gyms and adult things. They have ninja warrior places popping up, and these are all ways of expressing your inner child. And you're literally reverse aging by doing this. You're literally reverse aging. People be looking at me like, Q, how are you 40 years old? Because I'm tapped into my inner child. I still go rollerblading. Like I still go skateboarding. That's why, because I haven't left that mentality. I still see the importance of tapping into that part of myself.
yeah. When you mentioned the dream state, you reminded me of the Matrix when Neo told Neo, well, yeah, when Morpheus told Neo that the body cannot live without the mind. And I was like, dang, that's right, because it was like the first universal law is mentalism. So
Correct.
everything in your mind, you're going to project it out in reality.
Yeah, keep in mind though, cannot live without a mind. It doesn't necessarily mean your mind.
Hmm.
That it gets interesting because what we're up against right now is the possessing of one's mind. That's
Yeah.
it's a minefield. There's gems that they want to dig up. It's a mine. Get it? MINE. It's a mine. It's mine. All these words is trying to show you. It's always the precious. This is the precious. If you think of Lord of the Rings, and he was walking around with the Gollum or whatever his name was like, this is my precious.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's how they think of our minds. Like that's not just the occultists or the esoteric leaders, the gods and goddesses that they worship. They consider our minds to be one of the most powerful tools in creation because our minds and our bodies are still willing to work with each other. These civilizations have pushed themselves to such extremes that there's a disconnection between the mind and the body. Now, of course, they can get the mind to do, I mean, they can get the body to do certain things, but they can't get what we're able to do. Like, for example, reproduce. Some of these guys and goddesses, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call it, have disassociated themselves from their body so much that they can't procreate anymore. So the
Mm.
fact that we could just simply procreate is like a phenomenon to most of the universe, because most of the universe has figured out how to evolve or move forward with the separation of mind and body.
So
While
like
we
going
are,
to like 4D, 5D.
yeah, yeah, while we are a civilization, because we are mammal based, most of the other civilizations are reptile based. But because we're mammal based, we're really holding on to our belief of the body. But that's because we come from a womb, and a womb is an acronym where our minds begin. So because our minds began in a womb, a body, we're never going to forget the body. That's why it's important for us to embody. This is why it's important to be the body, God body. This
Yeah,
is
that was
all
a
that.
bar. That was a whole bar. Wow. You know, thinking about that, when you mentioned the mind and stuff like that, and they want to take control of the mind, I named my podcast The Miracle Mindset
Mm,
because I'm trying to get the men to have a miracle mentality, because a miracle mentality is something that is not, it's rare. It's a rare phenomenon that's going on. And if I can help people help themselves realize that they can become a miracle,
mm,
be a miracle, and then give miracles, like I think that the trajectory of black men would change for the whole world, not just here in America, but for the whole world. And the mind is so powerful, like they can put books in front of you, they put the phone in front of you, they put TV in front of you, because they know that you're being occupied, and they can program you to do whatever they want you to do. And I told King Simon this yesterday. I said, it's so difficult to help people when they don't have critical thinking.
mm.
Everybody has somebody else's thought. When you go on the internet, everybody's talking the same shit. and nobody's not sitting there using the sense that God gave them. Like, you don't think that sound logically rational? And I just it's just a lot of things that just made me be like, how do we get here?
Mm,
What happened? That my question is like, what happened? How do we get to a place to where we became a collective, but we became a collective of ignorance
mm,
and indoctrination
yeah.
and bigotry. So I and that was a acronym that I came up with a couple years ago when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy,
Mm,
and he was talking about that you can manipulate a planet because they're big on bigotry and in ignorance. And I
mm,
said he missing one, indoctrination.
mm,
I said this is what the westernized society is built on: bigotry, ignorance, and indoctrination. A lot of people don't have critical thinking, right? We are told to believe what they want us to believe so they can keep us ignorant. And then we judge people based off of sex, race, religion, it's things like that. But my mission here is to help people help themselves, especially the
mm.
men, because black men in America have the highest suicide rate. It might have changed this year, but last year they definitely had the highest within the community of America. I think the whites were second and Hispanics were third. So we're number one. I think that might have changed. I haven't looked at the research this year, but last year was definitely like that. So with the inner child, how does one know that their inner child is traumatized
Mm.
and they just living the life? They just living the life like frivolously, and they don't know what's wrong with them, but it's really the inner child. How would they know that something's wrong with the inner child?
Great question. So, the inner child is so expansive because of its connection to imagination that it has the ability to access past lives. All
Hmm.
right. So, I just want to make sure that's out there that the inner child is so innocent that it's able to access things beyond uh, what it has been controlled to see. All right.
Hmm.
Now, why does that matter? Because you know that there's inner child trauma if there's phobias that you have.
Hmm.
For example, the phobia of water. Well, that is the inner child that is expressing that fear. And that inner child could have either potentially drowned as a child,
Hmm.
which my girlfriend, she had a situation when she was a young girl where she almost drowned in the water. Now she'll get in the water and she'll attempt, but there's still that there
Right.
because of a trauma that happened when she was a child. But sometimes that inner child can get so expansive, it could tap into when you was in Atlantis. It could tap into potentially a past life you had where you was on the Titanic. I mean, there was a lot of powerful, influential people on that ship. And if you
Hmm.
are of influence or power now, it's possible you could have been of influence and power there. So this is what you want to pay attention to the phobias, to the hesitations, to the fears, to the addictions. All of these things is associated to childhood trauma. And you're using addictions as a coping mechanism. It's kind of like a coddling mechanism for your inner child. But as with anything, the child has to grow up, but you want to make sure it doesn't grow up to become a monster. And like I said, that's the tendency. This is why the child always creates the monster in these movies and in these stories. It's always this little,
Imaginary friend thing.
yeah.
Okay. So, with your experiences, with you doing your past life regressions and stuff, do a lot of your clients have inner child problems?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'll give an example. So I had a lady, she was a kindergarten teacher,
Hmm.
and she had a phobia of flashing lights. And you wouldn't think that would really affect her at work, but when there's fire drills, the lights in the house in the classroom start flickering because they're in the room. She seizes up, she freezes up, and she could not figure out what this was about. So she went to a couple of experts and they couldn't figure it out. And they asked her if she ever thought about like regression work or hypnosis. So she ended up coming to me. And when I regressed her, and here's what's important, and this is the difference between hypnosis and regression.
Mm-hmm.
Hypnosis, I'm telling you what to do. In regression, you are given a very simple prompt and you then get to decide what to do. So hypnosis is like imagine yourself in a bedroom and you see a window and a dresser. That's hypnosis. Regression is imagine a room. That's it. And then you allow your subconscious, you allow your body, your mind to tell you what type of room it wants to see, what type of room it needs you, the consciousness, to pay attention to right now. And in that case, there was a broom closet. So she sees a dark room. And I'm like, okay, I want you to feel around. I want you to see if you can find a light. See if there's a switch on the wall, a string. She's like, okay, there's a string. She pulls the string. Boom, she's in a broom closet.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward the tape, her drunk uncle comes into the broom closet. He unfortunately, abused her with, and not just physical abuse, but the S word. And when
Mm-hmm.
this was happening, the light in the broom closet was dying. So it was flickering.
Flickering. Oh, okay.
So she stored the flickering with trauma. But she was a 67-year-old lady, or her 60s, that didn't even remember this happened. And then when she asked her family and asked this, and she found out she did have a drunk uncle and got the name, and there was like verification to this. It wasn't just like a figment of her imagination, because there was a lot of things that came after that that actually offered clarity, and to the point where she did not have a phobia of flashing lights anymore. And she forgave her uncle,
Mm.
which then allowed him to transition on because he was stuck here too. It's a lot in this work. It's a lot in this. There's layers.
Yeah, it seemed like it. Yeah. You mentioned that it made me think of have you seen the movie Antoine Fisher
Mm-hmm.
with Denzel and Derek Luke?
Yeah.
And Derek Luke's character had all this trauma going on because of the stuff that he had went through, right? And it was affecting him on the Navy. I think he's in the Navy. Yeah, he was in the Navy. And he went to go see Denzel's character, and Denzel was telling him, he was kept asking questions like, what happened. He didn't want to talk. So then he finally started to talk. And the one thing that he said, he needs to address the person who gave him the trauma.
Mm.
So my question to you, do you think that a person the trauma to addressing that situation to that person who gave them the trauma as a child, for them to heal that inner child?
Okay. So I've actually had several instances where people were working towards this. And to get there, you have to first kind of allow forgiveness. You can't see it just from your perspective. You have to see the other perspective. Why? If you cannot get an answer on why this may have happened to you, why this person, this experience has happened, then you're not prepared to address or potentially challenge, because it could become a challenge, and that just adds more weight to the child. That just adds more, causes more damage. It actually hurts both parties more than it should. So once, and here's the thing, once you start to see the other polarity, like for example, her uncle was drunk
Mm-hmm.
and he was in prison and he was raped by a man in prison. So they
Okay.
said ever since he came out, it was almost like there was a dark shadow, a dark presence on him. And it was. He became demonically possessed from this entity. And understand, this is sometimes how what we may want to refer to as demons can spread from body to body. It's through sex.
Right.
Definitely.
Like the fluids and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
All right. And these are those monsters that I'm talking about. The things we create in our mind because we're not able to express in the life. All right. So once she identified that her uncle actually had a dark presence, we were actually able to communicate with that dark presence.
Mm-hmm.
So now she is kind of speaking to the demon that raped her. And what do we find out? That demon, or quote unquote demon, was really a form of an aborted child she had in a past experience, a past life. So many
Mm-hmm.
things that just connect back. And it was just trying to not trying to figure out, but for some reason, the universe keeps putting them in the same path. But in this path, he's kind of this anger manifested. This anger manifested. And as this anger is manifesting towards her, uh, it's always going to be the continuous loop until she chooses to take another direction. And instead of anger, she's chosen to take love, patience, and
And
understanding.
forgiveness. Mm-hmm.
And when she switched the polarity towards love, patience, and understanding, she didn't see no dark monster. She just saw an innocent child just waiting to grow up and experience once again. And sometimes when that happens, we then kind of create like a, a, the word is a totem, but something to represent this child. So there are aborted children that are in a realm that are manifesting into other things to get your attention. Eventually, you will see them as the child that they are, and you want to kind of create a certain way to represent them. Like for example, I had I've had abortions before with women I've been with, so I have a statue that I kind of have. It's like a little or like ceramic. There we go. Like a little ceramic 1970s boy with like some trousers on, and he's like playing with some pennies. It's just like a little action figure, ceramic. But that's like what I connect to when I think about things of me or parts of me that have been rejected or aborted or forgotten. So like I don't allow it to stay forgotten. I don't allow it to feel rejected because I have something in my life that represent it being present.
Okay, so you mentioned the abortion. A couple years ago, not a couple years ago, about 6 years ago, I had a miscarriage.
Mm.
Yeah, and those be like those tough things to go through. Like at first, I didn't want the child because I wasn't really ready, but she wanted it because she already had a kid and she didn't believe in abortions. And it's like one of those things where like, what could have been if that kid was here? I often think about that, and what kind of trauma would I have put that kid through because I really didn't want it, and
Well,
now
rejection. It it would have been born with a subconscious. So I call these subconscious commands. Imagine something whispering to you, real subtle, just a little command, and it's like you're not good enough, you're not wanted, you're not needed. Now, luckily, if you are a loving man, which you are, and you're going to trump that little voice that's going to be like, you're not good enough, you're not worthy. And hopefully you teach that child to mature out of that.
Mhm.
But most parents don't. And because they don't, that voice just keeps getting a little louder and a little louder. And now you got Daryl with 4 bodies by 14. Because if I'm not wanted, why the fuck do I feel like you need to be here? I
No,
don't want you here. It's time for you to go too.
yeah, hey, that's how it be, and that's exactly how it be. Some people, yeah, who man, I've heard so many stories about those situations. Oh my god, uh,
And bringing children in life right now, we have to start taking in consideration our neighbors, because it ain't just about us. These kids got to be around the people, have to be like, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of things to factor in right now when it comes to like humanity, because unfortunately humanity is not being human right now. So it's a very slippery slope. Keep trying to bring humans into this existence if we're not displaying humanity. You're just birthing something that's going to become something different. And that's dangerous right now, because we're kind of at like a where we at. You know, where we at with this AI, with this just tech, with this destroying the place. It's so put it like this. I often say your body knows exactly what to do. Do you listen? Now, part of her felt the same way, that this is not the right time. So a part of her body kind of restricted some of the nutrients and restricted some of the life-giving essence, because if we're being attacked of essence, which is what we are, we're being attacked of our life essence. Sometimes we got to hold on to what we got. But that don't mean to ignore or forget those fallen soldiers. So, did you want a girl? Did you want a boy?
Oh, I
Like,
definitely wanted a boy.
okay, so when you heard she was pregnant, you instantly thought of boy. All right,
Instantly, yeah.
all right.
Well, no, 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 no. I instantly thought, hope it's not a girl.
Okay,
I like, hope it's not a girl, because boy, woo.
okay. Now I don't know why it's telling me, but it was telling me, oh boy, he was gonna get a surprise. It's a girl and a boy. So this is what I would advise: try to find. Hold on, I'm about to look it up real quick right now. Because this is, I'm telling you, here's what I consider when communication fails, and communication is also expression is acknowledgement. So when acknowledgement fails, when expression fails, when communication fails, war begins. And who wants that? Like, we're not in the business of war. So how do you acknowledge something that would have been considered a fallen soldier? You create something to represent it. So this is just an example. I would get something like that. And it could be anything. It could be one child. But I'm just telling you, I don't know why I kind of got this 2 children thing, but just get something and just put it in a populated area of the house. The thing about altars or areas where you acknowledge those who are no longer here, they don't want to be in no closet. They don't want to be tucked away in the corner. They want to be wherever there's a lot of motion and activity. So that's kind of how I do it, because here's what happens. If you don't acknowledge it, it may acknowledge you. And if it acknowledges you out of aggression, that's called poltergeist. That's called paranormal activity. And you can experience paranormal activity. And what people got to realize, paranormal activity don't just mean creaks and bumps in your house. It also means the partner you with behaves different. Whoa, who the fuck is you?
Shit.
So you don't want paranormal activity, so acknowledge the paranormal. Do something to acknowledge the fallen ones. Acknowledge the dead. It's a simple concept. That's what I do. It could be a picture. It could be a background screen on your phone. You could get creative with it. But something to acknowledge it, because it was trying to acknowledge you. Look at you eye to eye, and it didn't happen.
You know, I often think about that. I wondered the reason why I didn't have it, because I wasn't supposed to have it. I often think about that. Well, what would have my life have been like had I had a child? I often think about that. Like, would I be in the space that I am today? Will I be able to do the things that I've done in the last 6 years? So in my mind, I feel like, well, God was saving me. That's why or the universe was saving me. I felt like I was being saved because He knew I really didn't want it, and I think that I personally like did some type of magicianal shit and got rid of the child.
Mm.
And then I did get to a point to where when she was like, I think almost 2 months in, I accepted the fact that I was going to be a father. And then
Huh.
that's when, yeah, we found out that she wasn't having it. So those things like that can definitely cause trauma as an adult. You know, my inner child, how I heal my inner child, I played a video game,
Mm.
right? I play Call of Duty, play Mortal Kombat. You
Hmm.
know, I like to play games that keeps me entertained, right? And especially with my brother, because you know I wasn't always a good big brother to him, right? So as an adult, I try to mend that relationship with him and stuff like that, because I know in my heart and my mind when I was a kid, I wasn't the best to him.
Mm.
So as we're getting older, I feel like that's how I'm healing my inner child by trying to make amends with my
That's
brother
important. Wow.
in our relationship.
Yeah.
So how do you heal your inner child?
Yeah. No, I love that. That was locked in. That was beautiful. And for you to intuitively be able to just dial into that, I call that structured intuition.
Mhm.
And it's really your imagination. You kind of saw that. You thought about what it would look like for me to have a better relationship with my brother, and you stopped and paused and saw aspects of that. That was a feeling first, and the feeling then allowed the imagery, and that imagery then got projected into real life, and you're working on that path. So that's lit. Structured intuition, aka imagination in motion. All right. Now, how do I heal my inner child? Very similar. I do the video games. I um I make music, so I like rapping. Freestyling is a very fun thing for me. I like the freedom of not knowing what you're just going to say and just kind of just say it. So music helps my inner child. Um, Exploring helps my inner child, like not knowing what the hell is about to come next. I'll get on my motorcycle and just ride, and I don't know where the fuck I'm going. um
Okay.
Shopping, unfortunately, that came inherited from my mother. My mother was a damn shopping guru. So shopping, definitely, I could tell my inner child gets really happy, because what that's about is I'm still stuck in that moment shopping with my mother.
Mhm.
See, I
Yeah.
wasn't raised with my mother. I was raised with my dad. So like those was precious moments with me. When we at TJ Maxx, when we at Marshalls, those were precious moments. So I'm still reliving those precious moments in my head. So every time I go shopping or every time I do something to kind of feed that moment, it gives me that feeling again. Shit's crazy.
You know, that was actually, you just brought up another question I was gonna ask. So you said you was raised by your father,
Yeah.
right? Um, being raised by your father, how do you feel that made you as a man today?
Oh yeah, no, that mattered. So one thing that being raised by a male, especially a type of male my dad was. Like my dad was the type where he was growing up, he would keep bricks in his book bag and they would try to like rob him or fuck with him and he'll grab the brick out and smash it with his hand. And they like he do extreme shit like that. My dad the type like every Sunday, I'm 8 years old. He's like, let's go to the football field because we need to wrestle and I need to make sure that you can hold your own. And I have to fight my father like every Sunday. So he's like alpha male. So he wasn't really affectionate. So I definitely realized lack of affection was real, um, growing up. Because then when women would touch me or be affectionate, it would feel weird. It even sometimes still like a little jolt, like I'm trying to get used to it because you didn't touch like that. If you did, it was a high five. It was, it was about maybe a hug every so often. So lack of touch, I definitely felt being raised by a father, but I also um, felt like I developed independence at a really young age, and in that independence, it didn't lead to just independence of like my body, but independence of my mind. I was able to think a little, I think deeper or expansive. Women are really fearful, so free thought for a child can probably fear a woman. But I could have free thought. I mean, I told my dad in second grade I can take care of myself, and I did. Like as soon as I finished school, I would watch myself until like 6:30. So it was 4.5 hours by myself at 8 years old. So like just different, just built different. Had a lot of time to think, had a lot of time to myself. So yeah, independence. Independence would be the biggest term or word I would get from it.
So I did an episode a few weeks ago. I think it was episode 4 or 5. I talked about fatherhood,
Hmm.
and I talked about the difference between being raised by your father, being raised by your mother, or being raised by both. And I made a bold statement and said that I think that fathers are more important. And the reason why I said that, based off my experiences dating women, like I grew up with both parents in the household, but I had friends and I dated women who didn't grow up with both parents in the household. And I dated some women who grew up with both parents. And there's a big difference. Fathers are preparers, they prepare you for the real world.
Hmm.
Women, the mothers, they are the protectors. They want to coddle you, they show you the love, the empathy, the compassion. And that's good to have if you want to be in a relationship with a woman. But how far is that going to take you when you're going into a real world where you have to look these bosses in the faces? You got to be stern and strict, you got to be prepared for the worst and all of that stuff. And you being raised by your dad, I don't know too many men who've been raised by their fathers alone. It's like a rare thing, but it's a thing, right? Do you think that you would have been more well balanced having both parents, or at least you're more of your mother involved in your life?
Um. So I moved in with my mom sophomore year of high school. I was
Okay.
about 14, and I became a demon. The easiest way to put it. I was a lot I was a lot more structured and put together when I was with my dad. But then when I moved with my mom, I definitely became a different person. Um, and I'll say because I was so used to such sternness and such by the book behavior, and she wasn't like that, that I think I took advantage of the freedom and it got me in a lot of trouble. Um, but ultimately, when I think about the concept of a mother and a father, there are several things that I think about. For one, vibration matters. Vibration defines existence. I believe sound is the creator, meaning through sound, life is created. And a father has a lower bass, a lower tone, and that's important when it comes to structuring and grounding oneself. It's important when it comes to learning the foundation of a physical world, which is essential for what we would say a 7 year cycle. Every 7 years, the body goes through a different cycle or evolution. So if I was to show a child the proper way of existing, I would allow the father to be the dominant authoritative from 1 through 7, and then I would allow the mother to be the authoritative from 7 to 14, and then I would allow the father to be the authoritative from 14 to 21, and then the mother to be the authoritative from 21 to 28, like kind of help with the bank account, like up, and then at 28, you kind of are at your own point of independence. But I think you need the balance of those high tones and low tones. It's kind of like heaven and hell. Like being with the father could be like hell, but it's good for you. It's going to build character. You got to make it to heaven for going through hell. But then the woman is kind of like heaven, where you feel embraced, you feel loved, and you're gonna need that too. Or you gonna become a sadist. So that's how I would that's how I would do it. If anyone was to ask my personal opinion on it. the evolution of a child, I would balance out the frequency with a 7 year cycle.
Mm. That's a nice little concept. So every 7 years, each parent takes over. I
Yeah.
like that. That's actually a good idea. You might be onto something with that one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And
'Cause
if there isn't a father figure, you just try to find a male community, and that male community kind of becomes the authoritative. For example, like you may have a dojo, and you sign your son up, and you tell him, "I'm doing this. He don't have a father. I'm looking for someone that can kind of make sure my son is being held accountable for his grades, how he treats women, etc., etc." Now that, so say for example, she gets a phone call that he did something negative to a girl in school. You telling the
Mhm.
dojo guy, get it? And he go to kind of say something to your son, or to your daughter. He go to kind of be the authoritative if the male ain't there, if the father ain't there. But you got to build a male community. You got the pastor. I mean, you can find people. You can find people, but you have to be open to that idea first. If you close minded, ain't nobody go gravitate to you.
Sports, getting your sons into sports is one,
Yeah.
because then the coach can be like a teacher for your kids.
Yep.
I always, even if they don't want to play sports, or get them into doing like some like piano or chess,
Yes.
something like that to keep them, you know, to keep them focused and out of trouble and stuff like that. Because I really don't believe that a woman can raise a boy to be a man. And if she tries, she's only trying to create the man that she wish she had in her life,
Very true.
and then that would damage the boy tremendously. And then he's gonna take all that, I don't want to say anger or hurt, but he's gonna take all that misconception of what a man's supposed to be, and he's gonna pour it to the world, and it's gonna kick his ass because a man will tell you like, no, we don't lead with emotions, we lead with understanding, logic, and temperament. So
Well,
yeah,
we've seen a group of males that was raised predominantly by females, and that's how you get pimps.
shit. I never thought of that. I don't think I ever saw a pimp before. I probably have, but I never knew he was a pimp.
You can't control a woman if you haven't been around them.
Hmm.
These is men that been raised by their grandmama, by their mama, by their aunties, their TTs, a lot of women around. And they realize where they can manipulate, and then they use what they've learned through observation and get women to do what they say.
Hmm.
And there's a
Yeah,
lot more to that, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but King Simon was in the chat. What's up, King Simon? He said the dojo helped him through his life and the Muslim temple. Yeah,
That's
we talked
another
about
great
that
one.
yesterday.
That's another great one. And keep in mind, 7 year cycles. So let's and you could do it whatever pattern you want. You could have where the female does the first 7 years, where it's nourishing, because it's already, that's how I would probably reverse it. I would probably start off like the woman to kind of be supportive of the child's imagination. I
Okay.
kind of call this like, you have uh Dwayne, and then you have Kevin. Dwayne is in the grocery store, and he's like, "Meow," and the mother grabbing him by his ear, "Get your ass over here. If you don't stop that, cut that shit off." While you
Yeah.
got Kevin, "Hey Kevin, what you doing? Hey Kevin, what you doing?" "Oh, I'm flying. I'm flying a Boeing 747 through the sky." "Oh yes, Kevin, you can do that. You can do anything you want, Kevin." That shit count, because guess what? Kevin go grow up and drive a fucking 747 Boeing, making 180,000 a year,
That,
because she laid the right foundation. So
mhm.
1 through 7, sure, allow her, but here's the thing: during these 7 years, both communities, and I'm just saying male and women, still need to come together to exchange, to offer advice. That's
Yep.
how it should be. That's how it should be. And then 7 through 14, boom, the iron fist come. Ready to do your push-ups, ready to get it, ready to get your core right. Come on, come run with me, come jog with me. Ain't no I'm 6 years old, I can't keep up with you. Nah, 7, let's go. Come hunting with me, come fishing with me. Get it? Activation mode. And then 14 through 21, that's the time he's having sex. That's the time she's having sex. That's the time she's going through maturity. hormones, they need a little more support then. You get an iron fist
Yeah,
during that time, these kids might want to, you know what I'm saying?
right. That
Love
puberty
that.
be something else. Yeah.
Right, right. And then, next cycle. So that's how I would do it.
Yeah, so what if the child chooses the opposite of what the parents would want? What if the child wants to be around the father more in the beginning and then goes over to the mother? Do you think that that's something you will allow the child to decide, or y'all would still decide for that child?
I think if you are transparent with the child and the child is, because we are dealing with an autistic epidemic. So that counts because
Hmm.
now there's a whole different set of rules. But if you're dealing with a child that is cognitive, that is attentive, and is like, I have my son, he's 9. Everything
Okay.
he grabs, he's paying attention to the ingredients because he don't want nothing artificial. I didn't even teach him that. He does that himself. So like, if you have a child that's attentive and aware of what you're trying to help this child learn and help this child grow, if after you've explained it to them, gave them the information, gave them the details, and they've still concluded they want a certain direction, you should tell them, well, let's try it. We're going to try it for 30 days. And then if it doesn't work after the 30 days, we can try it your way. And let it gauge, because you don't want a child to feel like they're a slave or restricted, but you still
Mhm.
want to make sure to present that structure, because their scapegoat, a child will be fucking lazy. A child will be like, nah, it's easier with mom, it's easier. No, we're teaching you not to allow it to be easier. So I'll be willing to hear you out, but first give me 30 days.
Okay.
Give me 30, I'll give you 30.
Okay. So I got two more things, and then we're getting up out of here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Um, so you a father? I didn't know you was a father. So now that's perfect because Father's Day is coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really glad to see that there's a lot of black men in their kids' lives, and that's really appreciative. So I appreciate you for that. You
For
know,
sure.
do you teach your child things about the stuff that you don't want to go through as opposed to things that you want your child to go through?
um I try not to project to my child.
Hmm.
What I try to do is be very expressive when it comes to things that he articulates. So, like, I don't cap it. Like, I don't treat him like he's a 9-year-old. I'll talk to him like like he was asking, could he put his pajamas on without underwear, and I was like, oh yeah, you just got out the bath, your balls is clean, go ahead, you're good. And now you're like, oh, say that to him, like, yeah, that's shit my dad would say. So it's that, it's, wow, damn, my dad's not really, but yet like, for example, he forgets to turn the bathroom light off. So now we have a routine. I need you to do it 10 times. Walk to the corner, walk to the light, turn the light on, walk to the corner, look at the light, walk back to the bathroom, turn the light off, walk back to the corner, make sure the light's off, then walk back to me. Let's do this about 10 times. Let's make sure you got it. So I just try to be like hands on, but also honest. But and here's one of the biggest things I think parents need to remember. If you don't remember what it was like when you was a child, and parents and authoritative figures ran down on you, then you're out of it. Because I remember that. Like, I remember, like, y'all fucking suck. Like, the pen, y'all suck. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I think of that before I say something. Like, I don't want to be that. Like, I don't want
Mhm.
to be that, because I don't want my child to feel that way. Like, that's not what my intentions is. So I'll stop and pause and think, am I being a dick? Like, am I being like one of those that just, nah, I gotta stop. I gotta pause and really process what he asking me. Sometimes it's a lot. He talk a lot, like his dad. So
Hey, like father, like son, right?
yeah, he just inquisitive.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. It's good that kids ask questions and they want to know things. That's how you learn. Cause you'd be scared if your kid don't ask you shit. You like, what the hell is what he got going on? Why he ain't talking? Now you
Right.
be nervous. You be nervous.
Right.
So to wrap this up, what advice will you give the men out there on how to heal their inner child?
All right. So, men, healing inner child. Your inner child is seeking expression. So, men, you are already doing something to express your inner child. But this time, I need you to be conscious of it. You need to acknowledge it. Wow, I'm about to put on Super Smash Bros. This is for my inner child. I'm about to go play pool. This is for my inner child. I'm about to go take a walk around the block. This is for my inner child. Hey, inner child, I didn't forget about you. And keep in mind, I'm saying this out loud. I'm not saying this in my mind. That's for the dead. Speak it into existence. Your cells respond to vibration. It literally is listening. So you want to speak to yourselves, aka cells. And as you speak to yourselves, speak positively into yourselves and acknowledge the different aspects of yourselves, specifically the part of your brain that's responsible for imagination, which is really more right hemisphere. So you're really kind of acknowledging the right hemisphere, which is important because we use the left hemisphere so much in this logical society that we tend to forget the right hemisphere. So you want to continue to acknowledge the right hemisphere. And there are even actions and activities that you could do to kind of acknowledge the left and right hemisphere. When people do this little thing right here, that is synchronization of the minds. When you do this is synchronization of the mind. I could give you a couple of different, but there's just different exercises, qigong, yoga, meditation. All these things is helping the inner child. So yeah, just continue doing what you've been doing, but this time add a little more consciousness in the mix, a little more acknowledgement in the mix.
Okay, y'all fellas, y'all heard that. That was from the great, the legendary, the masterful Q Reeves. Once again, I want to say thank you, and I appreciate, and I'm grateful, and I give gratitude for you to join me on my platform.
Yes.
My goal is to help men help themselves, and that's why I named this podcast "The Miracle Mindset for
Yeah.
Men," because I just want them to get into the mind of being a miracle and things like that. So, and it's a great month to get prolific black men like you on my platform to give different point of views to help men help themselves. So had Rich on here, had Kenny Simon, I got you on here. So I feel good
It's a good,
walking.
good, it's a good, good little gas right there.
Yeah, so yeah, I feel good walking in my purpose.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
and one last thing too.
All right.
Remember this?
Ah, yes, sir.
Cash be on
Yes,
here every day.
yes, yes, yes. Yo, you do. You know what you're doing.
Man, listen.
You know what you're doing.
That shit worked. I think I
I
told you that
know.
about night at the God Fest. I think I told you that. I
Yeah.
said
Oh no,
cute.
I know. I know.
So
I
yeah.
know. So then that's confirmation. Just confirmation because that means you a mentalist. We'll talk about that more.
Okay. You going to Stone Mountain, right?
I won't be able to make it to Stone Mountain. I'll be in Denver during that time.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna try to make it too, but I'll be in Columbia.
Ah,
Yeah, so
yeah. Next time.
yeah, that's why I told Rich. I said next time because I come to all his events, but I'll
Yeah.
be at the next one that he had for sure.
Oh yeah.
As long as he don't do it like last minute.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm trying to, for sure.
Yeah, but all right, Q. Thank you
All
for
right.
everything, man. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you soon.
I appreciate you.
All right, man.
And
Peace.
send me this when you finish the link, okay?
Okay.
All right, cool.
All right.